Good morning, you guys. Hope you guys are all having a fantastic morning. My name is Kenzie if you are new around here, and welcome back to Willow Creek Homestead. For today's video, we are going to be making up a bunch of marinara sauce together. Now, I had an entire TJ Maxx bag full of tomatoes from last summer, and I went to pull them out of my freezer. I haven't checked on them in a while. Oftentimes I will just put like all of my tomatoes in the freezer and kind of forget about them. And basically all of them had split. They had really, really bad freezer burn on them. So the amount of tomatoes that I thought I had to make a like huge batch of spaghetti sauce, I actually don't have. But we still have we still have 8 bags of tomatoes, plus there's a couple in here. So I'm hoping we can at least get maybe anywhere from 8 to 10 quart jars full of tomato sauce. And that will kind of give us a good head start for the wintertime. Now, I still do have some quarts down there, so that's good. It just kind of sucks that the amount I thought I was going to get, we don't have at the moment, but that's okay. We are going to work with what we have. And then if I need to find some more tomatoes kind of before the season is over, because I think I can still find them in bulk at a couple places around here right now. So we may have to go out and get some more. But for now, we are going to let these start to simmer on my stove. So I'm going to empty these bags into here. And then we are also going to be making up some sauerkraut together. Now that needs 6 weeks to ferment. So we are going to start the process together. And then 6 weeks from now, I will walk you through the process of canning it. And then we'll keep some fresh in the fridge just for recipes and things like that. Sauerkraut is super easy to make. I just haven't gotten around to it. So that'll be fun to take you on the process as well. But for now, let's start getting all of these tomatoes dumped into this big pot. I'm just using my canning pot. I need to invest in a bigger pot because oftentimes I have to use my big canning pots for like these big canning days. So I definitely need to get another one of those. And all of this is just a mix of like cherry tomatoes, Roma tomatoes. I know I have some big beefs. Like there's all kinds of tomatoes. Basically, anytime I have extras, I just put them in my freezer and then I come back to them later, and that is kind of what I use to make all of my spaghetti sauce with. So it works out really good to do it that way. And I do not personally worry about coring them or de-skinning them or anything. I just throw them in the freezer like they are. And the skins and stuff doesn't really bother me or my family, but if you don't like the skins in your spaghetti sauce, you can let these de-thaw a little bit in their whole form, and the skins come off very easy, like as they start to de-thaw, or you can de-skin them and then freeze them with the skins off. Okay, so we're gonna start there and then allow this to start to cook down, and then I'm gonna get these other bags added into it once it starts to warm up. And I do add just a little bit of water on the bottom to help with scorching. And I went ahead and pulled out some onions that we can get thrown in there later. If you hear my chicken in here, I have Trixie inside because she's been sick. This morning has already been crazy. I had to pull her out of her little pop-up thing that I have her in. I got her bathed and then blow dried. She like fell over in the middle of the night and could not get back up and was really gross. So whenever chickens aren't feeling good, they can't adequately bathe themselves. So I did go ahead and make sure she was bathed and blow dried off really good. Trixie was treated for coccidia, and then the coccidia treatment gave her a secondary infection. So now she is on a round of antibiotics. We're slowly starting to see progress, but I'm telling you what, friends, if you are not prepared to scrub a chicken's butt at 7 o'clock in the morning, do not get chickens. Okay, so in the meantime of the spaghetti sauce heating up and getting all softened, we are gonna go ahead and start on some sauerkraut. And if you have never made sauerkraut before, it is very easy. So what I like to do is go ahead and start cutting my sauerkraut into strips. And this is my new fermentation crock. Now, I ordered 2 of them last year, and I have not used either one of them yet this year, but you do not need a fermentation crock to do any kind of fermenting. I went to Walmart 2 years ago and picked up one of those big glass, like, I think they hold like tea or punch, and they have a top that goes with it. I believe it's Anchor something is the brand, but you can get really creative with the ways that you do your fermenting. Basically, all we do is we just make a salt brine, and then the fermentation crock comes with weights. I've also used plates and like jars of water to sit on top so that the brine will cover the contents in your container. So it's very easy. The only thing that you really want to make sure of is that your surfaces are clean and you've scrubbed out the container itself really good, and all of your equipment, because any kind of bad bacteria that is like in the containers and the utensils and things that you're using can get transferred into the crock and the containers, and it can contaminate the batch of your fermented items. I have had that happen before where I didn't go the extra mile and really make sure everything was like cleanly. And then as my fermented items started to ferment, probably within like 2 to 3 weeks, they became spoiled and I had to throw the whole batch out. And that is no fun after you put in all of the effort to do this. Personally, I've only really ever done like sauerkraut and hot sauces. I would like to expand on my fermentations because I've seen a lot of people do several different things with their ferments and they just look really, really cool. It's very, very easy and it has very, very good bacteria for your gut. A lot of people do like lacto fermented pickles. I've never tried that, but I've always wanted to do that. And everybody does this a little bit differently. You can add the salt in and kind of bring out the liquid in your sauerkraut. Personally, what I like to do to kind of control the amount of salt, because sometimes this can be really, really salty when you do that. I personally like to fill my container up with the cabbage first, and then I make a brine and then pour the solution over that after I mash it, but you don't have to do that. You can add salt and mash it and kind of get the liquid out that way. But I just feel like making the brine and kind of measuring out the salt and everything helps with that taste. Because like I said, it can get really, really salty if you're not careful. So that is just the way that I have found works the best. And hopefully you guys can see, I cut them, I don't know, maybe 1/2 inch thick. Now, you don't have to cut these down super thin or like cut them in half to make them shorter either. By the time that you take the little thing to use to smush them down, it will make the pieces much, much smaller. So I do leave them a little bit bigger just because I know we're gonna be mashing them down quite a bit. But you can play around with that and figure out what works best for you. We actually tried a new soup together last year during the pantry challenge. And you know, it's crazy. I never thought I would like sauerkraut in soup, but sauerkraut in soup with like kielbasa sausage or cheddar cheese and stuff is one of my family and I's favorite soups that we do now after trying it. So I definitely really love having this on hand, especially during soup season. It gives the soup just like a, I don't know, kind of like a pungent taste, you know? It's really, really good if you've never tried it. And I do tend to get a lot of slack for canning my sauerkraut because when you can sauerkraut, which if you didn't know, you absolutely can sauerkraut, the fermentation process brings up the acidity. So that's why you need to wait the full 6 weeks so the acidity can be brought up to can it. But when you can it, it does destroy a lot of that gut healthy bacteria that is very, very beneficial for sauerkraut specifically. So what I like to do is I like to can 1/2 of the batch so that I can use it for soups and, you know, whatever, and have it shelf stable. But then I keep the other 1/2 of the batch in my refrigerator so that we can have it fresh with all of the good benefits that come with the sauerkraut itself. And then I can also gift the sauerkraut in jars and things like that and give it to other people as well. I would have loved to been able to use my own cabbage to make the sauerkraut, but if you have been watching for a little while, you guys probably remember I had a bug epidemic with all of my cold weather crops. For any of you that are new, I put in my 40 by 60 brand new garden during the time that we were moving over here. So it was kind of just an experiment for me this year. I was like, whatever grows, grows, whatever doesn't, doesn't. And I had tons of beautiful cold weather crops that I had come over here the first week. Nothing was wrong with them. I was like, I still have time to get the netting and things that I usually use to prevent worms on my cold weather crops. Well, I came back 5 days later and they were completely mutilated. So I didn't get hardly any cold weather crops. I think I ended up getting 2 red cabbages out of all of the ones that we planted together. So it was very, very sad. So unfortunately, I did not get to use any of my own cabbage this year, but next year, whenever we grow cabbage together, I will be here and can kind of mitigate and pay more attention to that. So hopefully we get a very, very good cabbage harvest next year and we can make sauerkraut with homegrown cabbage instead of store-bought cabbage. Okay, so this is starting to get really full, so I'm just gonna start pushing this down. And you do want to mash this very, very hard. And once I start to mash this, I'm gonna go ahead and start to make the brine because the salt in the water also softens this. So I will add the brine to this and then mash it down, let it sit for a little while, and then we will put the rest of this in. And when you think your fermentation crock is full, it's not. So just keep mashing. You would be absolutely amazed at how much cabbage you can fit into a small space once it actually condenses, and I'll show you what that looks like. Also, I forgot to mention that you want to use distilled water, not chlorinated water. It will not work properly for your fermentation process, so make sure you are using distilled. And we are gonna add 2 tablespoons of salt. There's 1, 2, and make sure you give that a really, really, really good stir. Okay, so now all we're gonna do is start to pour our brine into here, and we are going to start mashing this a ton. Go ahead and get that in there. And you may use all the brine, you may not use all the brine. There's no really specific amount that you need. You just need to make sure that the brine is entirely covering the contents in your fermentation crock. And I also wanted to mention, so I was looking online for you guys, you can do this with chlorinated water, but make sure if you use the chlorinated water, you want to leave it out for 24 hours and let the chlorine evaporate, or boil it for up to 25 minutes, let it cool, and then you can use it for your fermentation. So now that that has the brine in it and we've pushed that down, we have a little bit more room. So I'm just gonna keep cutting this up and repeating the same steps over and over. Once I get some in there, I'm gonna push it down, add more brine, and then just keep repeating that process until we fill the entire crock up. So while I'm finishing up the rest of this, I just wanted to take a second and talk to you guys about something that happened last week. So, and you guys know, like I don't ever post drama, or, I don't really talk about drama or, anything like that. Like, I want my channels to be like a very informative, very educational, like a good place to come to just relax. But something happened last week that really bothered me, and I'm not going to get into the specifics. It happened on TikTok. But basically, this woman decided to dox my personal address on the app. And I just want to say, I'm like very non-confrontational. I really don't get into any of that stuff. Like I said, I just don't want to. Like, I love social media. I love posting videos for you guys. And this woman decided to dox my personal address in the comments so that many, many people could see like exactly where I live. And I just want to take a moment to talk about that because, I have gained a little bit of a following here on YouTube and on TikTok in the recent year. And, if you don't agree with something that I do, I understand, everybody is entitled to their own opinions whenever it comes to me. But I do want to kindly remind anybody that's watching this video that I do have a little girl that doesn't deserve that, Think whatever you want about me, say whatever you want about me, whatever the case may be. But my daughter doesn't deserve to have her safety possibly jeopardized because her mom decides to post on social media. So if you have ever gotten mad at somebody on the internet, 1, I want to remind you that it's not that serious. And 2, if you have ever thought about posting somebody's personal address, please do not do that. The world is absolutely crazy right now, friends, and I hate that we are living in the times that we are, but the world really is crazy. There are people in this world right now that will do very, very crazy things because they don't like people on the internet. And I love doing social media. You guys know that. I love chit-chatting with you guys. It's one of my favorite things to do. I look forward to filming my videos every single week. I will be the first to say that if this ever becomes something where my daughter's safety is potentially being jeopardized or she is being put in harm's way, I will not film videos anymore. I'm going to tell you flat out, last week was very scary. I just could not believe that somebody did that to me. And I just want to take a moment to talk about it, or I wanted to take a moment to talk about it and just tell you that, things on the internet are not that serious. And please do not dox people's personal addresses. Some of us have children and our babies don't deserve that. Like, my daughter specifically does not deserve that. My husband doesn't deserve that. You can say whatever you want about me. If you don't like me, that's fine. But please, please, please think rationally in some of the decisions that you choose to make online, because if you put somebody's child in danger, you're not going to feel very good about it. Like I said, you guys know I'm not one to speak on drama. I really hate that I even have to mention that, but I feel like it has to be said, because the safety and well-being of people's children, I know some of their parents make very bad decisions online, but I'm not the first person that's happened to. And, public knowledge and information is public knowledge and information. There's nothing that I can do about that except for kindly ask people to use common sense and make better choices. Okay, so that is my rant for this evening. I felt like I had to say that. I just had to make mention of it because the world is crazy and you never know. And I will say, I never knew that you could be disliked over posting cooking, chicken, and gardening content. Like, I feel like I get all the smoke on social media and I don't even know, I don't even do anything, genuinely and honestly. But for anybody thinking about doing social media, when they say you have to have tough skin, they really do mean that. And this goes for anything, people that act like that or say mean, hateful, nasty things to you, even if you don't do content creation, you just have to remember that those people are not happy. Those people are battling demons within themselves that we can't see because it's online, but we just pray for those people and we move on. Okay, so I got the sauerkraut all finished. I got all of the cabbage cut up. The weights are in here and the water line is about an inch above the weights. So the 2 weights you basically just put right on top, and then I take the little thing that you push it down with and push down the weights so that the water level rises. One thing I will say is the more you mash the cabbage will break up and there will be little fine pieces. And I'm not kidding you, all it takes is a piece about the size of a speck of sand to be on the top of your brine to cause mold. So once you get the water level and the weights on where you'd like it, all I do is I just take a spoon and kind of scoop all of that off the top if there is any, so that nothing is above our water level. And then the last thing that we do is we just put the lid on. I am gonna go ahead and let it sit and just make sure no more particles arise to the top. And then we are gonna place this in a cool, dark place. You can place it in a cabinet, you can place it in your basement, wherever you wanna put it, but we will just keep checking on it as the weeks go on for approximately 6 weeks, and then we are gonna can this up together. And my tomatoes have warmed up enough to bring down the level of tomatoes in the pot, so they are sitting about right here. I'm gonna go ahead and add the rest of those. But while I am doing this, I'm going to take a lot of the water out of this. Whenever you use frozen tomatoes, you will accumulate a ton of water. And some people can this and do it as tomato juice. I don't personally feel like it's that flavorful, so I'm not gonna can it that way, but feel free to use this like that if you would like to. And this is gonna help the thickening process because these do need to sit on our stove for quite a little bit. Another option is adding tomato paste to thicken up your sauce if you don't wanna drain the liquid out and you are on a time crunch. I've done that before too, but I do have all day for this to just sit here and thicken up. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the water off, but if you don't have that option, throw a can of tomato paste in there and that helps as well. People ask me all the time why I grow so many cherry tomatoes, and I'm telling you what, friends, if you have never tried a Sun Gold cherry tomato or a Super Sweet 100 cherry tomato in your marinara sauce, you are missing out. Because once you let them ripen on the vine, they are so incredibly sweet. The sugar amount that I have to put in here, because I do brown sugar in my marinara sauce sometimes, but it helps with that so that I don't have to add as much, and it gives the marinara sauce just an absolutely amazing flavor. So we got 2 more bags in here. These need to de-thaw, and then we will put the other bags in there as well. And then once everything gets softened up and we can immersion blend it, I will go ahead and also add in some onions. And then while we wait for all of that to warm up, I just wanted to show you these really, really beautiful plant holders. You guys know I have been on my plant mom journey here recently. I have acquired a lot of houseplants. And my friend gave me these probably about a year ago, and I never pulled them out to use them, but look at how beautiful these look. I'm gonna put some pictures right here and on the sides, and then I'll show you what this is gonna look like in the dining room itself. How beautiful, right? This one right here is a heartleaf philodendron, and she is that plant. This plant is so beautiful and stunning. But then I also have a multicolored pothos up here. And then this one is a marble pothos. I believe it's white marble pothos. And both of these ones will trail down the wall the same as the heartleaf philodendron. So I can't wait to watch this grow out. So our sauce has been sitting over here thickening up. And all I did, you guys, was once all of this came up to temperature, I chopped up about 3 onions, threw that in here, let those soften up. I did take a couple chunks of frozen garlic that I had in my freezer, threw it in here too. And then I just went ahead and immersion blended it. And now I'm gonna add a little bit of seasoning. So this is some oregano. And then this is some homegrown home dehydrated basil. Now, what I will say with my sauce, you guys, is I go very, very light on the seasonings. I do not overdo it because you can make this really, really overpowering. And anytime that you water bath can something or you pressure can something, in my opinion, it enhances the flavor profile. So personally, I like to keep my sauce very, very plain and then add to it as opposed to putting too much in here and then not being able to take it away in my recipes. And then we're just gonna do a little bit of garlic salt as well. Now the sauce is still pretty liquidy. Like you guys can see, it's just liquid. So it does need to sit here and thicken up for quite a little bit. What I like to do and how I kind of tell if my sauce is thick enough is I take my spoon and I run it over the top. And if it leaves a tracer mark in the top of it, that's kind of where I determine the thickness level. But like I said, if you want to speed up the process and you are making this homemade, you can throw in tomato paste. That will speed it up a lot. So now all I'm gonna do is just go ahead and let this simmer on the stove. I'm gonna put the lid on because this will start splashing all over the place. Tomato products are very, very messy. But then I will meet you guys back in maybe like 2 to 3-ish hours, and then we'll see where it's at and if it's ready to go. So this was actually about 6 hours after I filmed with you guys, and my little girl got home. She went to the parade and things on this day with grandma. So I'm just going to voice over the rest of the end of this video for you all. But this sauce turned out absolutely amazing. I did go ahead and throw 1 small can of tomato paste in just because it was taking a little while to thicken up and it was getting quite late in the day. And originally I was going to can all of these in quarts. So I pulled out a bunch of quarts to do that with. But then I also ended up canning up several pints because we use this to make meatball subs, and sometimes the pints are just a better portion for that instead of using an entire quart jar. But I just added some citric acid into each jar. I believe it's half of a teaspoon for your quarts and then 1/4 of a teaspoon for your pints. And then I got my jars filled up to half of an inch of headspace. I just go ahead and wipe down the rims really good. And then I get my lids and bands placed on. And I can't remember the canning time off the top of my head, but I will leave everything down below for you all. I get the question quite often if I water bath or pressure can my tomato products, and usually I water bath can them, but just so you know, you can go ahead and pressure can these if you would like to not have to add any extra acidity. But I just went ahead and used my pressure canner as a water bath canner and got those filled up with water. And then while I was waiting for them to process, I thought I would take you guys out to the chickens with me. I have been letting the girls and boys free range for about an hour every night. So my daughter and I come out here every evening and we just sit and hang out with them. Here is Miss Emerald, my black copper Maran. She's molting right now, so she looks a little bit crazy, but I also wanted to show you guys Tank. This is my light Brahma rooster, and look at how big and beautiful he is getting, you guys. They don't get full grown until about 18 months, but he is huge and just absolutely gorgeous. And then there is Dottie, my silver laced Cochin Standard. And then we also have 3 new babies. So this is Bubbles, Blossom, and Buttercup. They are Cochin and Silky Cochin mixes. So they have been wonderful additions. And then here is Holly, my zombie chicken. I know a lot of you guys really enjoy seeing the zombie chickens. We also have a Cochin Bantam named Baby Nugget, who is Blue's baby, and she is a Calico Cochin Bantam, and she is actually a sibling of all the triplets. I just got them at different times. But look at how big she is getting, you guys. She is the cutest one out here, and I just absolutely love her feather patterns. I never thought I would enjoy the Bantams quite like I do, but I really have enjoyed it. And then here is our second rooster, Mr. Hank. He is a silky rooster, and when they tell you that silky roosters are the best, they really are not kidding. He is absolutely wonderful, and you would think that Tank would be top dog in the flock, but he is actually not. So that is going to wrap up this week's video. I just want to say thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and taking the time to watch this. I can't wait to process up the sauerkraut with you guys in a couple weeks. And here is all the marinara sauce coming out of the canner. It felt amazing to get all of this done, and we ended up with a lot more than I expected. So have a good week, friends. I will see you in the next video.